Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom's August 2025 release is now available, and just like all their releases, it's super cute. Here's a quick look at the August release, and if you are interested in any of the products, I do have links in the description box below. I'll start with the bandana stencil. This is the freebie you'll receive if you purchase at least $50 worth of product, and one item must be from the new release. This is for a limited time and while supplies last. Next up is a new Gnome add-on set. This one's called Farm, and this is a huge set. There are 73 die pieces. I'll pull the dies out of the bag, and since there are so many, there are 3 sheets included in the Ziploc bag. There's a new pair of overalls with boots. There's a super cute pig, a goat, some vegetables, a milk can, a barrel, and even a pitchfork. This set is perfect for all the farm lovers out there. There's also a new cow gnome friend, so cute. And this set is really fun. It has the main body for the cow, but a variety of different heads, so the ears can be at different positions. You can also make a super fluffy cow. And like all of Jaded Blossom's gnome friends, there's also a coordinating stamp set that has the faces. So for this one, it's called Cow Faces. It's so nice having the option of the stamp faces or the die pieces for the faces. The next die set is one of my favorites. It's called Windmill. I grew up in North Dakota, so I always saw windmills out in the fields. The windmill is a nice large size, but it does fit on an A2 size card, and you could add this and other die cut pieces to create a fun farm scene. I'm holding an A2 size card base up to the die so you can get an idea of the size. Next up is a sentiment stamp set called Hey Friend, and there is a coordinating outline die set. Lots of really fun sentiments, and I always enjoy having the dies to cut out the sentiments. And Jaded Blossom always has the best sentiments. The next die set is Denim Pocket Die, and you can use this set to create a fun gift card or money holder. You can put it on the front of the card, make it look like a shirt or a jacket. Or you can just assemble the pocket, add all the fun embellishments. There are 3 different fun double stitch lines, some flowers, buttons, small circles, and even the little tag that goes on the side of the pocket. There's also a smaller piece you can create a flap on one of the pockets. And to go with the pocket die, there is a sentiment set along with outline dies. It's called Pocket Full of Sunshine. There are quite a few sentiments that go along with the idea of adding a gift card or money. There's also the title sentiment, Pocket Full of Sunshine, and then some smaller sentiments that you could stamp individually or add them on that small tag piece. With the introduction of a new gnome friend, Jaded Blossom also has their MDF pieces. There's the one with the hang tag ring or the stand option. And these pieces go with the new gnome friend cow die set. And since the MDF is the same size as the base piece of the cow, it works with all the different head options. Jaded Blossom's MDF pieces have been super popular, and I love the 2 different options of the hang tag ring or stand. For several of my cards, the pattern paper I'm using is from Echo Park's Fun on the Farm. This is from, I believe, 2022, and it has retired. But if you have it in your stash, it works perfectly with the new release. Although for my first card, I'm not using any pattern paper from that collection. Instead, I'm using some petite prints from Doodlebug Design. For the background, this is from a 12 by 12 petite print. It's white with light gray polka dots. And I'm using it as the background and creating a scene. So instead of the white, I want to add a little bit of blue color for the sky. The ink color I'm using is Distress Oxide Salvage Patina. I'm only adding it on the top 2/3 since on the bottom I'll put a grassy hill. I used another Doodlebug Design petite print for the green hill, and I cut out that grassy hill using Jaded Blossom's mushroom die set. I love this little grass piece. It has that grass border on a hill and also the stitched detail underneath. I put adhesive on the back, and I'll add the grassy hill at the bottom of the polka dot panel. And the background polka dot piece is A2 size. I'm also adding a couple of stitched cloud die cuts, and I use some white shimmer cardstock for the clouds. The cloud dies are from Jaded Blossom's rainbow die set. I'll put one cloud on the right, one on the left, and I do have them going off the edge of this paper. I'll flip it over, and with a pair of scissors, I'll trim off the overhang. And I'm keeping one of those extra pieces, and I'll adhere it on the left side right in front of the other cloud. And I do need to trim off just a little more of that cloud overhang. I love the look of putting two clouds on one side and one cloud on the other when I'm creating a scene card. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back, add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. Now I'll set aside the card and start assembling a windmill. For the very background piece, I used white cardstock. This will all be covered up, so you can use any scrap cardstock you have on hand. I'll start with the wooden ladder portion. I used a dark wood grain pattern paper for this piece. This piece will also be covered up, so you can just use scrap cardstock. For the final front pieces of the ladder portion or the tower, I'm using more wood grain pattern paper. This is from Honeybee Stamps Grain and Grunge collection. I love using wood grain pattern paper and can never resist when I find a new wood grain collection released. Although the Grain and Grunge collection has been out for several years, but I believe it is still available. For any products that are still available, I will have them linked in the description box and also on my coordinating blog post. With my Jaded Blossom videos, I generally run out of characters for the YouTube description box, so you can always check my blog where everything will be listed. Right now, I'm gluing down all the individual boards. You can always just use that one background piece if you don't want to assemble all the individual pieces, but I like the look of the individual pieces. It gives more detail to the finished image. I have just one more board to attach, the larger one at the bottom. So there's the main wooden portion of the windmill, and now I'll start working on the windmill blades. I use gray cardstock for this background piece. All of it will be covered up, so I just grabbed some scrap cardstock. I'll start by adhering it on the white outline piece. The blades are all the same size, but as you're gluing it down, you will need to adjust them to make sure that they're lined up perfectly with the background piece. Now the next piece I'm adhering down is not the correct one. I didn't notice it at first, but you'll want to add the little spoke piece down first. So luckily I was able to peel it up, and now I'll attach this center piece. And I use some silver mirror cardstock, so it's super shiny. So I'm peeling up that center portion, and now I'll add the spoke piece. Then I'll put more glue behind that little circle area and adhere it back down. So the nice thing about using Barely Art glue, you do have a little bit of time to get things adjusted before it dries completely. Next, I'll add the circle with the arm. And then for the flag, I used red cardstock. For the very center of the windmill, I used some black cardstock. And for all of the blades or sails, I'm using some blue cardstock. And as I mentioned earlier, these are all the same size, so you don't have to worry about keeping them in order when you cut them out. This is such a cute design. Definitely more of a traditional windmill look versus the current windmills you see on wind farms. It's so fun to be able to customize the windmill. I can't wait to see what Jaded Blossom's design team came up with. It would be fun to use specialty cardstock for the sails or some cute pattern paper. The options are endless, and I think the windmill is perfect to use throughout the year. You could decorate this scene for different seasons, or you could make it a holiday windmill. So I have one final sail to attach, and there is the windmill completely assembled. I love how this turned out. So now I'll grab my card, and I'm adding the windmill on the right side. I will pop up just the top portion of the windmill. The bottom area of the wooden tower will be glued down on the grass. I'm using Scrapbook.com's small foam squares in the 1 millimeter thickness. I almost forgot to add a square in the center. I'll remove the release paper, then put Barely Art glue behind the rest of the windmill and adhere it on the right side, making sure not to have the red flag go off the edge of the card. The foam adheres right away, but for the glued portion, I will place an acrylic block on top for some added weight. And I did let that sit for a few minutes. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. To go with the windmill, I chose the sentiment, "Hope your birthday blows you away." With the outline die, I cut out a second piece from some dark brown cardstock, glued the two together, offsetting them slightly so you can see just a peek of the brown on the left side and underneath the sentiment. The right side of the sentiment will sit on top of the windmill. To keep it at the same level, on the left side, I'll put some large foam squares. And these are the 1 millimeter foam squares from Scrapbook.com. I'll remove the release paper, put glue behind the right portion, and adhere it in place. For a little extra detail in the grass, I'm adding 5 yellow flowers, and the die I used is from the Spring Embellishment Cluster die set. There are 3 different sizes of the 4 images. I used the smallest size flower die. And I love that it cuts out 6 pieces with 1 pass through the die machine. The original Embellishment Cluster die set is my favorite, but I think the Spring may be my second. I love the flowers and butterflies. For the center of the flowers, I'm adding a Love from Lizzie peel off. This is the mini circle style in brown. I'm putting the smallest size circle inside the 5 flowers. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. The new Windmill Die is so fun. Now moving on to card design number 2. For this card, I'll be assembling one of the cow friends. I've already gone ahead and die cut out all the pieces, and I have them stored in one of Scrapbook.com's stack and sort trays. There are quite a few pieces for the cow, and I accidentally stamped the face on the wrong piece. It needs to go on the smaller piece that's just the face and the horns. But I'll still keep the other piece. It's the face, the horns, and the ears, since I'll be covering it up. For the very background, I use brown cardstock. Now, unlike many of the outline background pieces, for this one, you will still see the legs after adding all the other pieces. So you want to make sure to cut it out from the correct color. I'm using the same brown cardstock for the body, the legs, the ears, and the face. I used a lighter brown cardstock for the cow's stomach, chest area. And here's another mistake I made. Don't add the face, the very top one with the stamped eyes and eyebrows, until you attach the individual ears. The very end of the ears will tuck underneath the face. Luckily, the glue hadn't dried completely, so I was able to lift it up without tearing the piece. For the inside of the ears, I use light pink cardstock. This little cow is already looking super cute. Now I'm going to make another mistake. So I'm making all the mistakes for you. Do as I say, not as I do. So I started to attach the little hair fluff on top of the cow's head. But first I need to add the wide stripe piece that connects to the cow's nose. So once that's attached, I can add the little hair fluff piece, and I use some dark brown cardstock for the hair. For the cow's nose, it cuts out the nostrils. I'm going to inlay some light pink cardstock for the nostrils. On the back side of the nose, I put some clear double-sided adhesive tape, and then I'll pick up those teeny tiny pieces using scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool, the wax tip end. Once those are adhered, I'll remove the release paper, add glue, and attach the end of the cow's nose. Next, I'll add the bottom of the hooves, and I cut these out using some dark gray cardstock. I'll add the bottom piece on the left side, then the other one on the right side, and I'll also be adding the front legs. The die set also has the option of just the hooves, so you could have the cow hold an object. It's so fun how many different cow variations you can make using the one die set. Before adhering the front legs, I'll first attach the horns. I used a light tan cardstock for the horns, and now I'll add the front legs. And I'm trying to adhere them so it looks like the two legs are at the same position. So there's a little cow all assembled, so cute. I'll also be adding a barn on my card. I'm using Jaded Blossom's barn die set. This is not new, but it works perfectly with the new farm release. For the red barn, I use pattern paper from Echo Park's Fun on the Farm set. It's red with very subtle polka dots. For the barn's roof, I use some light colored craft cardstock. For the frame of the doors and the window, I use white cardstock. And for the main door piece, I use another wood grain pattern paper from the Grain and Grunge collection. On the inside of the window, I'm using some light teal cardstock. There aren't a lot of pieces for the barn, so it's super easy to assemble. There are die pieces to go behind both doors and the window. Then you just attach the frame on top. I will place acrylic blocks on top while the glue dries. Want to make sure everything gets adhered nicely. So while I wait on the window, I'll attach the two doors. And I love that the barn has the option where you could open up the doors. I'm keeping the doors closed since the cow will be sitting in front. I already had the doors in the correct position, just needed to adhere them on the red barn, so I'm not sure why I was flipping that first door around. I'll add the door on the left first and then the right, making sure they're lined up correctly. Then I'll add the window above. The barn set also has the piece for hay that you can put on the outside edge of the window. And you could add a tiny little chicken or other animal inside. For For the background of my card, I cut out some light blue cardstock to A2 size, and I'm adding 2 grass hill pieces. The pattern paper I use for both of them is from Echo Park's collection. I'll add the larger piece down first, then a smaller one in front, trying to give the card the look of distance. So the barn will be in the background and the cow will be in the front, since technically that cow would be way too big to fit inside the barn. For the smaller front grass hill, I did cut that piece just a little bit too wide. After adhering it down, I flipped over my card and trimmed off the extra with a pair of scissors. Since I am creating that fun scene, I need to add more clouds. This time I used white cardstock, and I'm only adding 1 cloud on the left and 1 on the right. I'm adhering the pieces on a small silicone mat. That way, if I have extra glue on those overhang pieces, I don't get them on my workspace mat. The silicone mat is much easier to clean. Next, I'll add the barn, and I am popping up just the top portion of the barn. I'll add some small foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. Remove the release paper, then put barely art glue behind the rest of the barn, and I'll adhere it down on the left side of the card, about 1/4 of an inch down from the very top edge. Once the barn's in place, I can add my cow in front, and I'm putting the cow in the lower right-hand corner. The top area of the cow's head will sit on the bottom corner of the barn, but the right ear, technically the cow's left ear, will go off the edge of the barn, so I will put some foam dimension behind that ear. Then I'll add glue behind the body and adhere the cow in place. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Hey friend. I use green ink for the sentiment, Distress Oxide Rustic Wilderness. I already have foam dimension behind the sentiment. I'll remove the release paper and add the sentiment on the left side of the cow. For a final finishing touch, I'll add 2 yellow hearts underneath the sentiment. I'm using Doodlebug Designs Shape Sprinkles. It's the Warm Wishes set. It's a couple years old, so it may not be available any longer. I also assembled one of the MDF pieces featuring the cow friend. I have the MDF piece with the stand. It's my favorite. But as I showed earlier, there's also the option with the hang tag ring. If you like a little decoration for the top of the base, there is a die set that cuts out the perfect size. And I added some of the green grass tone-on-tone pattern paper. I have 3 more cards to share with you using products from the new release, although I did not record the process. This card features the new Pocket Die, and I added one of the mini gnomes, the girl, inside. So it's a little pocket gnome. I use Echo Park's Fun on the Farm pattern paper. The sentiment is from Jaded Blossom's Howdy Gnomie Stamp and Coordinating Outline Die. Here's a look at the mini gnomes. There's the girl and the boy. These were released in July. I love this small size. You can fit a regular size gnome inside the pocket, but the hat was sticking out over the edge of the card, so I thought the mini gnome would be perfect. My next card, I created a fun wheat field scene. The girl gnome is wearing the new overalls. She has a cowboy hat. This is from the cowboy add-on set. The wheat is from the farm Scenic dies, and the fence is from the farm fence die set. This card is probably my favorite from the whole set. My final card features the adorable pig. I love all his little legs sticking out. I have the cowboy holding him. He's also wearing a cowboy hat. I added the barrel with lots of veggies. In the very background, I used the new bandana stencil. You can just see a tiny bit of it, but I think it adds some nice detail. Now here's another look at the 5 cards and 1 MDF piece I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new August 2025 release. This release is absolutely adorable. I love the farm theme. If you are interested in the release or any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Jaded Blossom always has such fun releases. I look forward to them every single month. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.